Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Intesar-e-Wilayat Ch-9. Address number 9. Teachings of Karbala. O Nasreen Wali-ul-Asr. Heavenly Karbala teaches an everlasting lesson of doing Nusra of Wali-ul-Asr for the whole humanity. Karbala offers a very comprehensive attitude which proves helpful in understanding religion till the day of judgment. When we observe Karbala as a model, we see the sacred family clad in monotheism and prophethood seems to do Nusra to its supreme Wali, that is Allah Almighty. While on the other hand, we see that the sacred people of Islam are seen studying the chapters of the Nusra of their Wali-ul-Asr, that is Karim-e Karbala. Friends, it's also a fact that the people doing Nusra for their Wali-ul-Asr are enumerated as the Ansar or friends of Allah Almighty. That's why salutations are still paid to those Ansar or friends of Allah Almighty who sacrifice their lives for their Wali-ul-Asr, Karim-e Karbala, in this manner. O those safeguarding the Unitarianism of Allah Almighty and the Savior of monotheism of Allah Almighty, we pay our humble salutation to you. Friends, I was suggesting that in Karbala, we were being given the lesson of Nusra of both the chains of Wali-ul-Asr, that is, the sacred family was doing Nusra for its Wali-ul-Asr, that is Allah Almighty, and Ansar were doing the same job for their Wali-ul-Asr, that is Karim-e Karbala. Friends, it's a fact that Nusra is like a river and its water is equally offered to the followers belonging to different statuses, ages, or races. Everybody who swims in the river of Nusra feels his chest deep in its water, no matter whether he is tall or short-statured, old or young, or even a child. Nusra delivers the same unique lesson to all, which is sacrifice. The sacrifice of this world, sacrifice of the afterworld, sacrifice of wealth, sacrifice of life, sacrifice of honor, and sacrifice of glory and status. After having been mentally prepared to offer all the above-mentioned sacrifices, one has to offer some of the sacrifices. But it's imperative for the true follower to offer all the sacrifices from the core of his heart. In fact, nobody is liable to avail concession in the religion of Nusra. A true Nasir takes it as an insult to his pure divine love to avail any concession if it already exists or it is created. Generally speaking, laws regarding labor are different in society. In other words, laws of the labor for children, young men, middle-aged, and old persons are entirely different. We see that an army office holder is sent home on pension as he grows older. In fact, he is awarded some part of his salary as an unemployment allowance so that he may live that remaining part of his life in rest and comfort. And it is not permissible to take labor from the children. Similarly, handicaps are exempted from labor. Even Islam has not legitimized hard labor, participation in jihad or battle for women. All these are general rules being applied in society. But in the field of Nusra for Wali-ul-Asr, nobody is exempted. Nusra and sacrifice are imperative for everyone, no matter he is mere 6 months old child or 100 years old man. First of all, we should observe the example set by the sacred family. We know very well the accurate model or portrait of the Holy Prophet, Prince Ali Akbar, setting example of Nusra among the youth. Karim-e Karbala doing exemplary Nusra among the aged ones. 6-month-old Prince Ali Asghar setting example of Nusra among children. and the emperor of fidelity doing nusra among the middle-aged ones. Similarly, the womankind of each and every age, clad in the veil of monotheism and prophethood, seem busy in doing nusra. In other words, the sacred members of each and every age are diligently engaged in doing nusra for their Wali-ul-Asr, that is, Allah Almighty. Similarly, Ansar of all ages are seen as fully absorbed not only in doing nusra but also in teaching others the lesson of offering nusra. Among them are included women, men, young men, children, and even girls representing every age, and there is no reference to any age that is not represented there. Friends, the book of Karbala imparts a comprehensive message for everyone. 1. It teaches what one should do if one is a young or old man or a child. 2. It also teaches what a woman should do if she has grown old, or a young woman, or even a girl. 3. It teaches what one should do if one happens to be a slave or a free man. 4. It even teaches how a woman should behave if she is an aidless woman or a wife of the enemy of the sacred family or a widow. 5. It teaches what a man or a woman should do if he is a husband or a bachelor or even she is newly married. 6. It teaches what a female should do if she is an immature girl or a young girl. It even teaches what a person should do if he is the father of a newlywed girl. 7. It teaches if a person is a young son or immature son or even a mature one. 8. It teaches what a person should do if he is a brother or a husband, or what a woman should do if she is a sister or daughter or even a mother. 9. It teaches what a woman should do if she happens to be a wife or daughter or even a mother of some friend of the sacred family. All the characters mentioned above have got a complete lesson from the book of Karbala. For example, if a woman happens to be a wife of the enemy of the sacred family, a lesson can be taken from the wife of Shimr, the damned one, or the wife of Hola, another damned one, or even from the wife of Yazid, the damned one. What I refer to here, because the book of Karbala and the lesson of Nusra is such a vast topic, as the books and history written on Karbala can be quoted here. For this purpose, I have to write hundreds of books on this topic. Here, I am merely giving a track to your consciousness, showing a particular dimension to your thinking. If you start reading a book on the topic of Karbala with the above-mentioned reference, the lessons of Nusra shall keep opening. Friends, as we have repeatedly mentioned that in the book of Karbala, we find representation of people in every stage of life. It would be proper to start our narrative from the old ones. Generally speaking, the young men are ordered to lead the old ones on 3 occasions. First, during the night journey. Secondly, while crossing the water. And third, on the battlefield. While explaining the above-mentioned 3 occasions, Islam has set rules for the young man that to lead the old ones for the purpose of security, especially in case of any danger or threat, is the very gentility and blissful duty. It is also imperative for the old people to fully cooperate with the young ones in the performance of their duties. They should let the young ones lead them so that they can perform their duties. Let's see how the followers of the religion of Nusra took this matter. In the book of Karbala, we observe that the young men seem impatient to go to the battlefield first, and children are seen making desperate efforts to avail the opportunity to offer sacrifices, first by putting forward different recommendations. And the old ones are also making efforts by themselves, claiming the prerogative to go to the battlefield first. Everyone wants to do Nusra for his Wali-ul-Asr as soon as possible, and whosoever among them is blessed with the permission to go to the battlefield first, ask others to congratulate him. And the woman whose son got permission to go to the battlefield feels proud in the presence of other mothers that her son has been selected for sacrifice for his Wali-ul-Asr. Similarly, the old ones seem to insist like children on tasting the sweetest flavor of martyrdom. Let's mention some of the sacred Nasr offering unconditional Nusra. Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari. Friends, Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari is among those old people who sacrificed their lives for their Wali-ul-Asr after doing Nusra. He was the companion of the Emperor of the Prophets and was very pious worshipper, night hawk, Simon Nahar, or one who fasts regularly, and Qaimul Layl, or offering tahajjud prayers. As for his practical life, he had actively participated in many battles accompanied by the Holy Prophet, like the Battle of Badr, the Battle of Uhud, the Battle of Hunain, and the Battle of Khaybar, where he fought with the sword in the Nusra of the Holy Prophet. On the battlefield of Karbala, he was more than 100 years old. He has grown so old that he first straightened his bent back and then fastened it tightly with the girdle lest it should not bend down before coming to his Wali-ul-Asr to take permission for Nusra. Due to old age, his eyebrows were hanging over his eyes. He took out a handkerchief from his pocket and fastened it on his forehead after pulling up his eyebrows. While resting on his sword, as if it were a club used for support in old age, Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari, while staggering, started getting off to Karim-e-Karbala, fell on his feet and implored for permission to go to the battlefield, brushing his white beard against his feet. Karim-e-Karbala gave a talk to Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari that he was an emblem of his maternal grandfather, the Holy Prophet. Furthermore, he was an old man and is exempted from jihad. Karim-e-Karbala further advised him to go to his tent, take a rest, and do not force him to grant permission to go to the battlefield. I have already told you that pure divine lovers considered it the insult of their love to avail any concession or facility. As Karim-e-Karbala dissuaded him from going to the battlefield, Hazrat Jabir requested Karim-e-Karbala, while weeping bitterly, if he saved his life on that very day, he would spoil the purpose of his life. Hazrat Jabir further implored Karim-e-Karbala to grant him permission to go to the battlefield, for he believed that life was granted to him so that he might sacrifice it on the critical day. Hazrat Jabir further said to Karim-e-Karbala that he might be allowed to test the sharpness of the sword, but he had considered him old and exempted from jihad. Then he would notice how much enthusiasm he had in his old body. Finally, Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari was granted permission to strive jihad, and he demonstrated his diligence and devotion in the presence of Karim-e-Karbala. First, the persecutors advanced to combat Hazrat Jabir one by one, and his unkind sword continued cutting off their heads. Whenever he attacked some damned one, Karim-e-Karbala spontaneously bid on every head, "O our old Nasr, may Allah Almighty accept your struggle and sacrifice." His sword, as fast as a flash of light, condemned 60 damned yeomen to hell. The Syrian Lashkar attacked Hazrat Jabir collectively, but he is surrounded by the Syrian army, played his sword like a flash of light, and even angels were calling from heaven after watching his sword play. Poem. The old age of Ibn Urwa seems to be the karwa of youth. If someone has never seen a young spirit in old age in the world, he may come and see him. The body is weak, the hair is white, the body trembles, and the back is bent. But the sky has given thousands of youths to this old age. When his sword is seen moving, Zulfikar approaches him and kisses his face, because his sword strikes many young men like lightning. Lightning of emotions run in his weak nerves like blood. Then the Syrians are perishing because his old age is moving like lightning. As he raises slogans from his mouth, young men fall to the ground with trembling hearts. His old age is causing many young people to fall to the ground, presenting an amazing scene. Gabriel, the angel, also comes to him and kisses his trembling hands. This old age has forgotten its weaknesses and refreshed the map of the battle of Khabur. Jafar prays for him that he may be rewarded for his hard work, and his glorified old age may sit again on the throne of youth. Friends, when faithless Syrians and Kufi attacked him collectively, Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari played his sword courageously and condemned 20 more faithless soldiers to hell. Thus the total number of faithless soldiers condemned to hell by his Nasr was 80. Dead tired by wounds, Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari adorned the ground with his bleeding body, saluted lastly Karim Karbala, placed his head in the lap of the Master of the universe, the Holy Prophet, and surrendered his life to vivifier. May Allah Almighty integrate the purpose of his martyrdom pretty soon and show him the sacred family delighted and inhabited. बना कर दंद चा खुश रस्मे बखा को खून गलती दंद खुदा रहमत कंदा आशिकां पाक तीनत रा. Hazrat Jabir bin Urwa Ghafari has taught Nasr that in the field of Nusra nothing is excusable, neither the excuse of weakness, nor old age, nor drooping stature, nor flabby eyebrows hanging on the eyes. The field of Nusra of our Wali-ul-Asr is such a field where there is no option available except to sacrifice our lives in wealth, esteem, and dignity. We can only recite Salat on the deeds and emotions of the beings of the benefactors of the whole humanity, their actions and feelings. We can only pray that Allah Almighty may reward their sacrifices in the form of the establishment of the government of the Emperor of the era, and they may behold their Wali-ul-Asr cheerful and flourishing, accompanied by the whole sacred family. Khalaf bin Muslim bin Osaja. Friends, in the book of Karbala, there are some specified characters of children who in the Nusra of their Wali-ul-Asr did not make their childhood an excuse for Nusra, nor did their pious mothers let the childhood of their children become an excuse for Nusra. Such children have done full-scale Nusra of their Wali-ul-Asr. Among those, 2 such children have been honored with the blessing that their fathers were among the oldest Nasr and they are the littlest Nasr. Among them was the first guiltless Nasr, Hazrat Muslim bin Osaja's son, Hazrat Abdullah, widely known as Khalaf ibn Muslim bin Osaja because the word Khalaf stands for dutiful and virtuous son. History witnesses when Hazrat Muslim bin Osaja was martyred and his corpse were taken to the tents, mourning was arranged taking into consideration the appropriateness of the time. At that time, when Karim-e-Karbala was sitting outside the tent, a 7 or 8 years old boy came and set his hands down on Karim-e-Karbala's feet and requested to bless him with the permission of Nusra. On hearing this, Karim-e-Karbala's eyes got teary, and he said to the boy that his father's martyrdom was sufficient from his side. Karim-e-Karbala advised the boy to return to his mother, as she was old and he was the only aid in her life. On hearing this, that innocent boy looked back at his tent, where he saw his mother while lifting the sheet of the tent, and said to him, "Son, don't look back now. Your father has served his mother, and now you have to serve me." After that, his mother requested Karim-e-Karbala that she had sent her son to him. Further, she implored Karim-e-Karbala to oblige her by permitting her son to do his nusra. As the emperor of Karbala blessed this guiltless boy, Hazrat Ibn Osaja, with the required permission, his mother sought another permission to stand in front of her tent to witness the ongoing battle of her son. As permission was granted, she accompanied her son out of the tent while producing extreme passion for Nusra of his Wali-ul-Asr. As that innocent child came onto the battlefield, his old mother kept on encouraging him during the battle, praising him as an obedient son. She was advising her son to do Nusra wholeheartedly, to the utter neglect of his first, because soon he would be satiated with Jam-e Kausar, the drink of the famous canal of heaven, Kausar, by Saki Kausar, or cupbearer of Kausar. He fought with zeal and condemned 30 accused mongrel dogs to hell, and finally was martyred. One damned soldier cut his head off and threw it towards his mother. The mother picked the head up and started caressing it by putting it in her lap. She was saying verses, "You are the Nasser of the oppressed, and kissing you is worship. Kissing your cheek is a blessing for your mother. Today you have fully interpreted your mother, and you have saved the infallibility of my mill most beautifully. You are the savior of my modesty and honor, and you have really saved my modesty and honor. And you have established my modesty before the Queen of the universe. My son, I fed you my meal for this particular day. Oh, my son, you have offered Nusra more than I expected. I'll keep blessing you as long as I live in the world. This beautiful martyrdom of yours is a source of honor for your mother. As Jafar's master makes his reappearance, you will be rewarded for your hard work. On that day, all the longings of my maternal love will be fulfilled." The sacred mother of this guiltless martyred boy expressed her love for her son, and this heart-rending scene raised lamentation on all sides. Umro bin Janada bin Kab Ansari. Friends, in the field of Nusra, the second guiltless Nasser is Hazrat Janada bin Kab Ansari's son, Hazrat Umro ibn Janada Ansari. In Ziyarat-e-Nahiya, the emperor of the era has greeted both father and his son. It would go too far if I describe the incidents of the martyrdom of Hazrat Janada bin Kab Ansari here. I want to say, when Hazrat Janada bin Kab Ansari was martyred, Karim-e-Karbala saw an innocent child coming out of his tents. The age of this child can be guessed with the fact that the sword he fastened with his waist was drawing a line on the ground behind him. Karim-e-Karbala moved forward and obstructed him as he was rushing to the battlefield. As the innocent child observed that Karim-e-Karbala was hindering him from going forward, he tried to escape by the side of Karim-e-Karbala. Karim-e-Karbala spread his arms and grabbed him and said, "Son, where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to fight your enemies for your help." Karim-e-Karbala picked him up, hugged him to his chest and said, "Son, your mother has become a widow. You are the support of her old age. Go back to the tent. Your mother will be looking forward to you." The child said to Karim-e-Karbala innocently, "The sword around my waist has been fastened by my mother, and it is she who has clothed me this armor and sent me to the battlefield as your Nasr." At that moment, the curtain of the tent owned by Hazrat Junada bin Ka'b Ansari was lifted, and the mother of that child, Hazrat Bahriya bint Masood Khazarji, said to Karim-e-Karbala, "O Emperor and Master, I implore you not to obstruct my child from going to the battlefield, as I have sent him to do your Nusra." Karim-e-Karbala said to her, "You know that it is an innocent child, and innocent children are exempted from jihad. And you also know that he is unable to fight on the battlefield." On hearing this, the sacred woman said to Karim-e-Karbala, "O my master, my son cannot take anybody's life, but at least he can sacrifice his life, and that would be sufficient for me to be proud of my son." Hazrat Junada bin Ka'b Ansari once wrote a qasida or encomium in praise of Karim-e-Karbala, which his innocent child has memorized. As this innocent child was going to leave for the battlefield, his mother advised him to recite that qasida or encomium as riches or martial song, martial poetry, which is read on the battlefield to arouse the moral spirit of the soldiers. The child approached the battlefield, took out his sword, and started reciting qasida or encomium as riches or martial song in front of Syrian Lashkar, and his shooting voice was adding the sweetness to the ears of those present on the battlefield. My Amir is Karim-e-Karbala, and he is the best Amir, who is the source of quietude and sereneness for the messenger of good news, and the one who warns of the bad consequences. His father is Amir-e-Kainat, and his mother is sacred Sayyida of the whole universe, and who can be equal or similar to him? His face is luminous like the shining sun and the bright full moon. His splendid face is very soothing to the eyes. This innocent child was unable to fight, but the ultimate purpose was the attainment of martyrdom and honor of his mother. But the lesson of Nusra of his Wali-ul-Asr was to be imparted to the next coming generations. When this innocent warrior was reciting Arab martial songs, the whole army was entranced on the battlefield. At that time, Malik bin Nasr, the damned one, moved ahead and assaulted the child mercilessly while his mother was witnessing the whole brutal scene. The child fell to the ground and his body started withering on the ground. The damned killer of the child cut off his head and threw it at his mother. The sacred mother received the head, placed it in her lap, and caressed it. She praised her son, saying that he had comforted her heart and honored her in the eye of the Queen of the universe. She kept on kissing the cheeks of his martyred son and praying for him. Then she got up passionately, rushed to the damned killer and her son's head in her hands, and hit the killer hard with the cut-off head, who could not bear the stroke and was damned to hell. After that, Hazrat Bahriya bint Khazarji took the timber of her tent and approached the battlefield for Nusra for her Wali-ul-Asr. On the battlefield, this sacred lady also recited some Arab martial verses. I am feeble, frail and weak, maidservant of my master. O Lashkar-e-Kafir, I will hit you harder than a sword while doing Nusra for and safeguarding the sacred offspring of the Queen of the universe. On hearing this, 2 damned ones came out to combat her, but she damned them to hell one by one with the timber of her tent. Hazrat Bahriya, the lady. Whoever has true love with Wali-ul-Asr, he stands out from the rest of the world. The joy of divine love transforms every emotion. Even the woman who divinely loves Karbala acts like men in Nusra according to the bidding. Bahriya Khatun have given this message to the world. Nusra is obligatory on everyone, no matter how weak a person may be. The Creator also recites blessing or Durud Pak on the beings of those people who risk their lives and offer the Holy Prophet their Nusra. Cowardice is the adornment of a woman, and it is not permissible in Nusra. And it is obligatory to give Nusra to the sacred Holy Prophet even at the cost of leaving the veil. Let Jafar, the Creator, adore their hard work with colors, and let the Prince of Maula Hassan Askari resettle the sacred home of Prince Ali Akbar's father. Friends, when this sacred lady was busy in jihad, Karbala praised her admirably. Then he ordered her to go back to her tent because she had done her Nusra very well. After that, Karbala prayed for her and led her to the tent by holding her hand. Friends, we can take a lot of lessons from these incidents. 1. The first lesson is meant for old age, that their old age is not an excuse for doing Nusra for their Wali-ul-Asr. 2. Another lesson is that non-age is not a proper and acceptable excuse for doing Nusra for Wali-ul-Asr. If a non-age cannot take life, at least he can sacrifice his life for the sake of his Wali-ul-Asr. 3. Another traceable lesson is that it is imperative for the mothers to sacrifice their children for the Nusra of their Wali-ul-Asr with eagerness, ardent desire, and pure love. 4. It is a matter of Nusra and the safety of Wali-ul-Asr, and a woman goes to the battlefield for jihad despite being exempted from it. Wali-ul-Asr prays for her, and her act does not go against the laws of Sharia, as Intesar-e-Yamin has written after quoting this very incident. This incident seems to explain that the happening of Karbala was under specific explanation, that is, it was under particular law of Sharia. Friends, in fact, Nusra and the safety of Wali-ul-Asr is precise Sharia. As it happened in the Battle of Uhud, a sacred woman named Nasiba bint Ka'b participated in jihad in the Nusra of the Holy Prophet, and by safeguarding him, she established the Sunnah of Nusra. She was badly impaired by the countless assaults of swords and arrows and stained with blood in the Nusra of the Holy Prophet, who was Wali-ul-Asr of the age, but she remained undaunted and firm in the Nusra of her Wali-ul-Asr. The Holy Prophet himself continued blessing and encouraging her during jihad. Thus Wali-ul-Asr himself authenticated and admired her taking part in jihad, even though jihad was prohibited for women. By doing so, the Holy Prophet rendered the coming generations unable to object to the sacred woman doing Nusra in Karbala. Friends, just remember that in Karbala, the most classic and supreme specimen of Nusra was demonstrated when the greatest sacrifice is proffered. The sacrifice of the things of comparatively lower degree proves at a higher level. For example, it is an aphorism that wealth is to sacrifice for life, and life is to sacrifice for honor, and honor is to sacrifice for religion or faith. It is to be remembered that here faith stands for the sacred family. Now, if someone says that life can be sacrificed for honor, but wealth cannot be sacrificed, it would not be the right approach. The sacrifice of wealth comes first when compared with honor, and after it comes the sacrifice of life. Similarly, Ansar and Mudassireen Karbala have given us the lesson to sacrifice the things of lower degrees to the things of higher degrees by offering the greatest sacrifices. Let's pray for these oppressed ones and our benefactors that their highest objective might be fulfilled in the present moment without any delay, and they might also be fortunate enough to witness the sacred territory inhabited by the progenies of the Holy Prophet. May the avenger of the progenies of the Holy Prophet raise his avenging sword pretty soon for speedy avenge of all the oppressed ones. Ameen, Ya Rabbul Alameen. Alhamdulillah wa shukr sahib az-zaman, ajjalallahu farajahu sharif.